Welcome back to the Malaysia Money Matters Show. It's February 26th, 2025, and we have a lot to get through today. Ready to dive into some Malaysian financial news?
Absolutely. Let's jump right in.
Okay, first up, AEON Co. Their fourth quarter profits are down, but full-year profits are up. What's going on there?
Well, it seems like a one-off litigation cost really hit them hard this quarter.
Okay.
But if you look at their profit before tax, it would have been higher. So not necessarily a sign of trouble, just a temporary setback.
That makes sense. But they are proposing higher dividends for investors.
Exactly. Shows they're confident about the future, and they're really focusing on expansion and sustainability.
Speaking of growth, Affin Bank profits more than tripled this quarter.
Yeah, a pretty impressive turnaround. And the main reason, writebacks of credit impairments.
So they had set aside funds for potential loan losses, but now they're able to release some of those reserves.
Right. It could mean the economy is doing better than anticipated, or maybe their risk management was a bit too cautious.
Either way, good news for the banking sector. And they've also proposed a bonus issue for shareholders. Always a nice perk.
Definitely. And they're undergoing a digital transformation, too, which is essential these days.
Now, this is interesting. Eco World Development Group sold land and leased data center space to, get this, a Google affiliate.
Smart move. They get a big chunk of cash from the land sale and a reliable tenant for their data center. It's a win-win.
It really is. It seems like Malaysia is becoming a real hub for data centers.
Definitely a trend to watch. EcoWorld's strategy of securing recurring income is pretty savvy, too.
Now let's talk about Farm Fresh. They're exploring expansion into Cambodia.
Ambitious move. Shows they see potential in the growing Southeast Asian dairy market.
But entering a new market always comes with challenges, right?
Absolutely. They'll have to adapt to a new culture, new regulations, and figure out their distribution network.
Onto a company riding the semiconductor wave. Frontken Corp, record-breaking quarter and year.
They provide essential services for chip manufacturers, and they're really benefiting from the global demand.
But is this level of growth sustainable? The semiconductor industry can be pretty unpredictable.
You're right. It's a cyclical industry. But their optimism about AI and long-term demand is encouraging.
Hibiscus Petroleum saw their profits dip this quarter, even though their sales volume was up. How's that possible?
Higher costs, mainly. And taxes played a role, too. They were hit with both.
So it's not just about selling more, it's about managing costs effectively.
Exactly. But they are committed to shareholder returns, with plans for dividends and share buybacks. That's a good sign.
Now on to IOI Corp. Palm oil prices have been rising, but they've reported some paper losses. What does that even mean?
It's basically accounting adjustments. Fluctuations in currency exchange rates and losses on derivatives impacted their reported earnings.
So not actual cash outflows.
Right. More about accounting than actual cash disappearing. But they are facing some challenges downstream, especially with competition from Indonesia.
Speaking of challenges, Padini Holdings had a great quarter, thanks to the festive season, but rising costs are a concern.
Yeah, but they're planning to focus on value for money products, so appealing to the price-conscious consumer without compromising quality.
Makes sense. Now, Picat Group is having another fantastic quarter.
Strong demand for solar energy and their lighting protection systems is driving their growth. And they recently acquired a power distribution unit, a very strategic move.
They're not just riding the wave, they're building a bigger surfboard.
Exactly. Onto a company facing some headwinds. Pentamaster Corp. Their profits fell due to weaker demand for their testing equipment.
What's causing that?
Seems like the semiconductor automotive sector is slowing down, which is impacting demand for their products.
So their fortunes are tied to the performance of that sector.
To some extent, yes, but they are optimistic about the long-term potential of advanced packaging, so they're not giving up.
Let's talk about Petronas. Lower energy prices have, unsurprisingly, impacted their profits.
But they're emphasizing diversification and investing heavily in renewable energy. They're adapting to the changing energy landscape.
And their right-sizing efforts are causing some concern among employees.
There's some anxiety about potential job cuts, but Petronas insists it's not about mass layoffs, but aligning their workforce with their new strategies.
Supermax Corporation is also facing difficulties. Competition from China and a U.S. inventory buildup are hurting them.
Yeah, the pandemic-driven glove boom is over and they're having to adjust. But they're hoping their new U.S. factory will boost their presence in North America.
A strategic move to diversify their market reach.
Exactly. And they're also focusing on innovation, developing higher-value products to stand out from the competition.
Finally, Telecom Malaysia, or TM, record quarterly profit, But it's not as straightforward as it seems.
Right. Tax credits boosted their headline numbers, but their underlying profit actually fell slightly.
So the tax credits are masking a less rosy picture.
It seems so. They are investing in new data center projects, which is good, but their revenue growth forecast is quite conservative.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of Malaysian company news. What are your overall thoughts?
It's a mixed bag, really. Some companies are thriving, others are struggling, but overall, I'm impressed by their resilience and willingness to adapt to challenges.
I agree. It's a testament to the dynamism of the Malaysian business landscape. Now, let's broaden our horizons and see what's happening internationally.
The Bank of Korea cut interest rates and lowered their GDP forecast.
Interesting. What's going on there?
Well, their economy is heavily reliant on exports, and the global trade tensions, especially between China and the U.S., are having an effect.
Ah, makes sense.
Slowing global demand is impacting their manufacturing and tech sectors.
So they're trying to stimulate their economy before things potentially get worse.
It seems that way.
What does that mean for us here in Malaysia, though?
We're not completely immune. They're a significant trading partner, so any slowdown there could impact our exports.
It's a good reminder that we're all connected globally.
Absolutely. And speaking of global connections, China's got some economic challenges too. Record capital outflows.
And they're tightening their grip on outbound investments.
Right. It's complicated, but China's economic growth has slowed, and it's more attractive for investors to move money out.
With the interest rate difference compared to the U.S.
Yeah, exactly. And the trade tensions with the U.S. aren't helping.
What implications does this have for Malaysia?
Well, China's a major trading partner, so any slowdown there could impact us. And if Chinese companies are investing less abroad.
That could mean less investment here in Malaysia?
Right. Especially in sectors like real estate and manufacturing, which have traditionally seen a lot of Chinese investment.
Okay, so another thing to keep an eye on. Now, shifting gears a bit, the debt crisis in developing nations.
The UN is calling for a new debt relief deal.
What would that even look like?
It could involve debt restructuring, maybe some debt forgiveness, anything to help these countries struggling with unsustainable debt.
Sounds complicated. How could this impact Malaysia?
We're not facing a debt crisis ourselves, but we could support this initiative.
Through financial contributions or diplomatic efforts?
Potentially, yeah. We've been advocates for developing countries before, so this could be another opportunity.
Okay, moving on to the palm oil market and this EU deforestation regulation.
The EUDR, yeah. It's aimed at preventing deforestation linked to imported products, and it's impacting palm oil.
It's raising costs for producers, right?
It is. And there's concern it could lead to buyers switching from palm kernel oil to crude coconut oil.
So less demand for palm oil.
Potentially, yeah. But Malaysian producers are trying to adapt.
By showing their operations are sustainable.
Right. They're using certification schemes like the MSPO standard, investing in R&D to be more efficient.
They're not just accepting it, they're trying to meet the requirements?
They are, and they're also diversifying their markets, looking beyond the EU.
Okay, good to hear. Now, some good news for Malaysia's LNG sector. Global demand is surging.
Shell predicts a 60% rise by 2040, mostly driven by Asia.
So a big opportunity for Petronas.
Absolutely. They're investing in expanding LNG production and developing new export facilities.
And forming partnerships with international energy companies.
Right. It's a big push to capture a larger share of the market.
Now gold prices. They've hit record highs.
Uncertainty and inflation fears are driving that.
So investors are looking for safe havens.
Yeah, gold is seen as a safe bet when the economy is shaky. It's about managing risk and protecting investments.
Not necessarily abandoning traditional assets, just diversifying.
Exactly. Gold adds some stability in uncertain times.
Now, let's talk about Trump's tariff policies.
They're definitely causing some market volatility. The local stock market took a hit.
Especially the tech and healthcare sectors.
Right. Those are sensitive to trade disruptions. And if the trade war escalates, it could hurt investor confidence even more.
So we need to be cautious, but not panic.
Right.
Okay, so shifting to some big changes within Malaysia. The privatization of Malaysia Airports Holdings.
It could bring in investment and expertise to improve our airports.
But there are concerns about potential cost increases for travelers.
Yeah, and the need for transparency and accountability is crucial.
So it's about weighing the potential benefits against the risks.
Exactly. And making sure the process is done right.
Now, on a positive note, a new co-investment fund for SMEs has been launched.
It's aimed at supporting innovation and growth in these companies.
On providing much-needed funding.
And it's a recognition that SMEs are vital for the Malaysian economy.
It's not just about money, it's about creating an ecosystem that supports innovation.
Right. This fund has the potential to really help Malaysian companies compete globally.
Okay, let's take a look at the stock market. How's the FBM KLCI doing?
It's been a bit shaky, trading at a 3-week low and down over 4.5% since the start of the year.
Those U.S. semiconductor restrictions targeting China are making waves too.
The Biden administration wants to cut off the flow of advanced chip technology to China.
And they're trying to get allies on board.
Yeah, it's a high-stakes game with a lot of tension.
And Malaysia, being a player in the semiconductor industry, could get caught in the middle.
Absolutely. Our companies need to be adaptable, diversify their customers, and maybe explore other markets.
Okay, now, oil prices are climbing again, partly due to the new U.S. sanctions against Iran.
The oil market is always unpredictable. If these sanctions work, we could see prices go even higher.
Good for Petronas and the government, but not so good for consumers facing higher fuel costs.
Right. It's a balancing act for the government to manage the impact of these price swings.
We talked about the gold price surge earlier. Do you think it's a sign of a shift away from traditional assets?
I don't think so. It's more about risk management. Gold is a safe haven when investors are nervous.
So it's about not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. Gold provides stability during times of uncertainty.
Okay, finally some good news for the Malaysian construction sector.
The Works Ministry has been awarding contracts for road and bridge projects.
Injecting over RM 848 million into the economy.
That'll boost economic activity in those regions.
Infrastructure investments are always welcome.
They create jobs, improve connectivity, and have a positive impact beyond just the construction sector.
Well, it's been a jam-packed episode covering a lot of ground, both locally and globally.
A lot to process today, that's for sure. What really stands out to you from all this news?
Well, for me, it's got to be the resilience of Malaysian companies. They're facing so many challenges, but they're still finding ways to grow and innovate. It's pretty impressive.
I agree. It'd be easy to just focus on the negative headlines, but Malaysian businesses have a history of bouncing back. They're not afraid to get creative and take risks.
And it's not just about surviving, it's about thriving, right?
Yeah.
We saw that with companies like Picard Group, expanding into new markets, riding that solar energy wave.
Exactly. They're not just waiting for things to get better, they're making things happen. It's a good lesson for all of us, I think.
Absolutely. Stay informed, adapt to the changes, and don't be afraid to seize those opportunities when they pop up.
Volatility and uncertainty might be the norm these days, but there are always opportunities out there for those who are ready.
And that's why we do this show. To help you guys make sense of it all, give you the info you need to make smart decisions.
We're your guides through the financial world, helping you avoid those pitfalls and find those hidden gems.
So until next time, stay informed, stay curious, and stay invested in your financial well-being. And don't forget to subscribe to the Malaysia Money Matters podcast for more deep dives just like this.
We'll be back soon with more insights and analysis. Take care.
Hey there, thanks for tuning in. If you would like a deeper dive into all the investment opportunities from today's news, subscribe to my newsletter at moneymatters.substack.com. I will be sharing a deeper analysis of the key investment opportunities from today's news, including what makes these opportunities stand out and how they fit into the broader market trends. By subscribing to the Malaysia Money Matters newsletter, you will also get exclusive insights on my watch list and portfolio and fundamental reports on Malaysian listed companies.